يهيجني مدح النبي إذا غنى يهيجني مدح النبي إذا غنى سحيرا به لحادي لدفعي العنا عنا يهيجني مدح النبي إذا غنى وحسبك أني كلما عاد ذكراه تحرى كما قلبي به من هوى كنا يهيجني مدح النبي إذا غنى وفاض نجيع الدمع من مغلتي دما أرادوا دونه وابلغ السحاب إذا شنا يهيجني مدح النبي إذا غنى فيا ليته يضفي لهيبا حشاشتي لصحبه لرؤيا المصطفى قلبه حنا يهيجني مدح النبي إذا غنى هوى غيرنا لبنا وقد كان شغلنا بحب رسول الله قل لي فما لبنا يهيجني مدح النبي إذا غنى.
To continue exploring and introducing the Sammaniya Sufi order with further details and discussion, following our presentation to its history, its concept and doctrine, passing through the speech and talk on its founder, Samman, his life and his writings, now it is a time knocking on the door to his basic teachings and philosophical, mystical thoughts and ideas. And in this concern, I would like to say, As-Samman's teachings were a product of a true, genuine, real and sincere, fruitful and tangible and tasteful experience that have led in the contributions of the evolution of the Islamic mysticism in the entire Islamic world. So As-Samman teachings were a product of a true and real, sincere, fruitful and at the same time tasteful mystical experience. This mystical experience, by the way, have led in the contribution and it has played a great and magnificent role in the evolution of the Islamic mysticism in the entire Islamic world since the early of the 19th century. These teachings still need further investigation and study by the researchers. So, to have more points and more ideas about As-Samman's intellectual formation and basic teachings, it has been stated that As-Samman's intellectual formation was influenced by Ibn Arabi, the Grand Sheikh. So As-Samman himself stated that my approach is that of Ibn Arabi and my tariqah is Qadri. This influence of Ibn Arabi on As-Samman's teaching could be attributed to the intellectual savia which prevailed in the 18th and early of 19th century Sufi orders. Birmingham says in such orders a complex relationship to the mystical and philosophical tradition of Ibn Arabi. As-Samman was a product of the wave of a Sufi ulama compromise that prevailed in the early of 19th century Hijaz. He was described as a revivalist teacher who was contemporary with Abdullah al-Mahjub al-Mirqani, the father of Muhammad Usman al-Mirqani, the founder of the Khatmiya Sufi order in Sudan. Together, al-Mirqani and As-Sammans were considered as a part of the wider revivalist intellectual group that has greatly and magnificently have contributed in the development and the evolution of the Islamic mysticism in the entire Islamic world since the early of 19th century. And beside many other notions of his teachings, one of the major notions and concepts that has made up al-Samman's major teachings is the concept of the Muhammadan path. So before recognizing his views in this idea, let us first of all have notes about what is behind the Tariqa Muhammadiyya or the Muhammadan path. The Tariqa Muhammadiyya movement started in the mid-18th century, though it did not begin to use the term Tariqa until some 50 years later. It consisted of 4 very closely connected major turuq and was probably a movement only in the most general sense. The Idrisi tariqas proceeding from Ahmad ibn Idris in the 19th century were the last new instance of the movement, having been preceded by the Sammaniya, Tijaniya, and Muhammadiyya Naqshbandiyya tariqas. All of these tariqas incorporated in different degrees major elements of Ibn Idris' teachings is spiritual union with the Prophet, a preference for primary source over the mazahibs, and to some extent a preference for a single tariqa over multiple tariqa. These 3 elements were not exclusive to the Tariqa Muhammadiyya movement, but their combination is not found elsewhere. A further related characteristic is that these tariqas were all established on the direct instructions of the Prophet, or in one case of his grandson, transmitted during a vision. The Tariqa Muhammadiyya is a reformist concept, and as such, it aims to return to the way of Prophet Muhammad, peace and blessing be upon him, and of his companions and their successors. Must feature of such a way therefore originate with the Prophet himself. There is no need to go into them in details. We will instead focus more on the more original or unique concepts found in the Tariqa Muhammadiyya movements that make them distinctive from other movements. Furthermore, the term Tariqa Muhammadiyya or the Muhammadan path has come to refer to a philosophy of tasawwuf, which focuses on the Prophet ﷺ as initiator of the Tariqa and ultimate means of the spiritual upbringing of the aspirant. The roots of the concepts are found throughout the span of space and time of the various spiritual paths and sheikhs. However, it is considered to have reached its apex in the 18th century with a wave of tariqas ascribed to this approach and understanding. Several tariqas are often highlighted as representatives of this approach, namely the Tijaniya, Sammaniya, the Idrisiya, and its various offshoots and branches of the Khalwatiyya. So for more information in this topic and in this area in particular, it is better referring back to the website lightoftheazhar.com, Ja'fari Tariqa. So this Tariqa, here the Muhammadan path, has its own shared characteristics that has been mentioned by Dr. Wright Valentine in his study about the Tijaniya. So Dr. Wright highlighted basic elements that come as follows: emphasis on the Sunnah of the Prophet leading to an objection to certain popular manifestations of Sufism and a de-emphasis of the mazahib. The characteristic of the Muhammadan path, prominence of the idea of the Haqiqa Muhammadiyya, or the Muhammadan reality, in its historic conceptualization, leading to a form of spiritual concentration on the spirit of the Prophet and a de-emphasis of the role of the Sheikh in spiritual instruction. Number 3, of the characteristic of the Muhammadan path is stressed on the transmission of knowledge through dreams and visions of past saints or prophets, particularly through the waking vision of the Prophet. A tendency to restrict the disciple adherence to one permanent tariqa is another characteristic of the Muhammadan path. And finally, the tasliyah, which is sending blessing and peace upon the Prophet ﷺ, and at the same time composing and performing praising poetry on his behalf on the Prophet ﷺ as primary means of spiritual elevation. So all of these 3 major elements derive from the 13th century, but were first combined in the 18th century. The idea of union with the Prophet originates with Muhyiddin ibn Arabi, the Grand Sheikh. The preference for primary sources over the mazhab or madhahibs can be found in Ibn Arabi's greatest critic, Ahmad ibn Taymiyyah, 1263 1328, and the idea of a single tariqa Muhammadiyya, called by that name, consisting in following the Sunnah of the Prophet, originates with Ahmad al-Wasiti, 1258 1311, a Sufi follower of Ibn Taymiyyah. The later combination of the idea of union with the Prophet with the idea of a single tariqa Muhammadiyya was probably the work of Abdul Ghani Nabulsi. So these ideas have been taken from Mark Sedgwick's Sonnets and Sons, the remaking of the Rashidi Ahmadi Sufi Order, 1799-2000, published in 2005. Following these short notes about Muhammadan path or the Muhammadan tariqa, now let us see al-Samman's views on the concept. The terminology Muhammadiyya is found in the title of 3 books of al-Samman's writings, namely مختصر الطريقة المحمدية and his book النفحات الإلهية في كيفية سلوك الطريقة المحمدية, and finally his book التوجهات الروحية للحضرة المحمدية. Al-Samman emphasized his tariqa objective as being the attainment of the tariqa Muhammadiyya by means of attachment to the Prophet, to be achieved through following the Quran and Sunnah with or without a mazhab, with a sheikh, or through love, contemplation and gnosis, istihdar or recalling of the vision and person of the Prophet, while continuously sending prayer and blessing on the Prophet, and finally istihdar of the Muhammadan reality. For more information on this issue, the researcher Dr. Amani Muhammad al-Ibaid has her study the doctrine of the Sammaniya Tariqa in 19th century Sudanese politics and publicities has discussed the issue in more further details. From another hand, and adding to the teachings of al-Samman, merely his views on the Tariqa Muhammadiyya or the Muhammadan path. Furthermore, this notion, here, the Muhammadan Tariqa could also be found in al-Samman's famous and unique prayer, the sacred center of existence, which he starts with اللهم صل على سيدنا محمد مبطة دائرة الوجود وحيطة مراقي الشهود ألف الذات الساري سيرها في كل ذرة. حا حياة العالم الذي منه مبدأه وإليه مغرة. ميم ملكك الذي لا يضاهى ودال ديوميتك التي لا تتناهى. So in this unique and wide thin blessing of al-Samman, which is known as نقطة دائرة الوجود. For this, we will go further in our discussion to discuss this prayer on the time that we devoted to handle Ratib al-Samman. So Ratib al-Samman is another contribution of Muhammad al-Samman, the founder of the Sammaniya. So نقطة دائرة الوجود is part of the Sammani's litanies, mainly Ratib al-Sa'ada or Ratib al-Samman attributed to the founder. So we'll discuss this prayer when we come to have the time for discussing Ratib al-Samman. The Prophet as a light is another area that stands as a basic idea of al-Samman's teachings. So the Prophet as a light here is a basic, as I have said, is a basic element and a basic notion that stand and represent al-Samman teachings. However, it is in fact a tradition among Sufis who believe in this theory to send their salutations to the Prophet in a language that reflects their belief in the reality of Muhammad. This is already reflected in al-Nafahat al-Ilahiyya of al-Samman himself, where al-Samman's salutation is composed in a language that indicates his convention. He employs several terms denoting the function of the logos of Muhammad as the locus or a spot of existence. In the introduction to An-Nafahat al-Ilahiyya, for example, he bestows numerous titles upon the Prophet. Peace be upon the servant of the essence, the messenger of the divine names and attributes, the first father, the real, the core essence, Ayn al-A'yan, and the Nafas al-Rahman, the breath of the merciful, whom God makes into light. Elsewhere in the same work, al-Samman expresses the same idea. The appearance of the real existence of God among human beings, مظهر عين وجود الله في العالمين, his luminous existence, ذاته النورية. All these phrases have been used by al-Samman, which in the final conclusion denote to the Prophet sallallahu alaihi wasallam. So it has been used mainly in his treatise al-Nafahat al-Ilahiyya, النفحات الإلهية في سلوك طريق المحمدية. It appears that Samman was aware of earlier Sufis who wrote on the pre-existence of Muhammad and Muhammad as a light. Samman maintains that luminous light of God is only granted to the Prophet Muhammad sallallahu alaihi wasallam. That is why only Muhammad deserve to be given the title light, a title that God never bestowed on other prophets. Even if the thousands of prophets and saints manifest themselves in various realities, so that one of them became the real light, the title of light can be nevertheless only be given to Muhammad, and all the attributes of light only given to him. Muhammad Nafis al-Binjari clarifies the reason behind why God gave the title Nur to Muhammad, despite the fact that it is a name of his essence. This is because the Prophet is nothing more than the Prophet is nothing other than him, God. The existential relationship between the Prophet and God is analogized with the relationship between the sunshine and the sun. The sunshine shows the existence of the sun, but it is not the sun itself. The absence of the sunshine shows that the sun does not exist. Thus, the sunshine itself is not the sun, but not something else. In the awrad of the Sammaniya, mainly the litany of happiness by Sheikh al-Tayyib al-Bashir, the murids of the Sammaniya, in the morning and evening word, they enchant, Muhammad is a human being, but not like humankind. He is a jewel, while the people are stones. محمد بشر لا كالبشر بل هو كالياقوت بين الحجر. Muhammad is a human being, but not like humankind. He is jewel, while people are as stones. محمد بشر لا كالبشر بل هو كالياقوت بين الحجر. Such was brief account about al-Samman notion on the idea of Muhammad as a light. Muhammad as light. So for further information, I suggest referring to the book entitled The Philosophical Thought of Muhammad al-Samman by Jalil Abdullah Saleh. Furthermore, the thesis of Abdul Muttalib also that already we have previously has been mentioned, the mystical teaching of al-Samman. Since we have previously presented and introduced al-Samman's views on the Muhammadan path, or what is called al-Tariqat al-Muhammadiyya, now we would like to see his views on the Muhammadan reality. So al-Samman says that the Muhammadan reality could be realized only three levels. So the realization to the Muhammadan reality, according to Muhammad al-Samman, could be done through a three level. The first level here is the physical level. The second one is a spiritual level, and the final one is a conceptual level. In every new and higher level, the apprehension is a more complete one and fine. Prophet Muhammad sallallahu alaihi wasallam appearance differs from one level to the other. His appearance on the earth differs from his appearance in the heaven, and his appearance in heaven differs from his appearance on the right side of the throne, and the latter differs from his appearance before Allah, where the concept of place and form have no existence. One aspect of the Muhammadan reality is that his light apprehension is turned into space, and this is his highest status before Allah. Al-Samman's doctrine of Nur al-Muhammadi is very clear in his Salat al-Minhat al-Muhammadiyya fi Salat ala Khayr al-Bariyya. So in this Salah, the idea and the notion of the Muhammadan reality based on Al-Samman teaching is so very clear and explicit. Abdul Mahmoud Nur al-Taim, the influential Sammani Sufi scholar and guide in his explanation of Al-Samman's doctrine concerning the Muhammadan reality, stated, his light is like the sun. However, the sun's light spreads only over parts of the earth, but his light, Muhammadan light, spreads over all the world at the same time. He explained further that the Prophet's light is like a mirror that reflects light all over the world. His that essence is reflected in it. Therefore, what is seen by various people at different places is the image of his that. Those who are preferred by Allah see his that directly. The Prophet's image appears in 248,000 forms. For al-Samman, the disciple who says prayer, that means who send and perform blessing and prayers upon the Prophet Muhammad sallallahu alaihi wasallam, even in presence continuously, while recalling his vision, will soon be very near to him. So al-Samman in his teaching, while we are presenting his views on the Muhammadan reality, stated that the disciple, the follower of the Tariq, who always sending his prayers and blessing upon the Prophet Muhammad sallallahu alaihi wasallam continuously, while he is recalling the vision of the Prophet sallallahu alaihi wasallam, will soon be very near to the Prophet sallallahu alaihi wasallam. The levels of praying to the Prophet are praying with tongue, with heart, and with the spirit, and secretly. So according to Samman, the levels of praying and sending blessing upon the Prophet sallallahu alaihi wasallam has different levels. The first level of sending prayer upon the Prophet sallallahu alaihi wasallam is with the tongue, then with the heart, and with the spirit, and secretly. Those who bestows blessing on the Prophet will gain paradise, and those who bestows on him, that means sending prayer and blessing upon the Prophet sallallahu alaihi wasallam with heart, spirits, and secret, will gain the nearness to Allah. Therefore, the Sammaniya Tariqa from the outset has a dualism of orthodoxy and Sufism. This dualistic nature in the local Sudanese society shaped the development of the Sammaniya Tariqa in Sudan. These ideas have been taken from Amani Muhammad al-Ibad, the researcher in her study, the Sammaniya Sufi Order Doctrine 1997, and published thesis. As Samman says, the Muhammadan reality has an appearance that suits it in each world. So we have discussed this point previously, and I think that we would like to repeat it again in handling by another researcher. And by the way, the researcher here that we are going to quote him is the founder of al-Sammaniya Tariq in Sudan, Sheikh Ahmad al-Tayyib al-Bashir, mainly in his book كتاب الحكم المسمى بالنفس الرحماني الطور الإنساني. So this book also has been translated by Dr. Abdul Jalil Abdullah Saleh, and in this regard I would like to quote the idea of a Samman Muhammad al-like through the pen of Sheikh Ahmad al-Tayyib al-Bashir, who come to comment also to come to comment on the topic. Let us listen to him while he's saying, or let us come to read his ideas while he's commenting on the Muhammadan reality at the Sammani influential Sheikh and guide. Ahmad al-Tayyib wrote, the Muhammadan reality has an appearance that suits it in each world. Nay, his appearance, sallallahu alaihi wasallam, in the physical world is like his appearance in the spirits, in the spirit's world. Nay, his appearance in the world of spirits like his appearance in the world of Satal, Alam al-Ma'na. For the world of Ma'na is gentle and wide. Nay, his appearance on earth like his appearance in the heaven. Nay, his appearance in the heaven is like his appearance on the right side of the throne. No, his appearance on the right side of the throne is like his appearance on the presence of Allah, for there is no where nor how. The more the status is so high, his appearance be perfect and complete of the previous one. And for each appearance is its majesty and reference that the place tends to accept. So the haiba and the majesty increase whenever the status increases in highest of its previous one, till it ends to a place where there is no one tolerates nor affords of the prophets. Of no one tolerate nor affords of the prophets, angels, and awliya. And this is the meaning of his saying, sallallahu alayhi wasallam, I have a time with my Lord that no sent messenger nor a close angel that suffices me. So for more information, further information on this topic, also I would like to suggest you referring to Ahmad al-Tayyib al-Bashir, Kitab al-Hikam, the book of aphorism, المسمى النفس الرحماني في الطور الإنساني, page 38-39.
الأصل نور من نور النخبة روح وحام نقل في أصلاب أجداده والأرحام الأصل نور من نور النخبة روح وحام نقل في أصلاب أجداده والأرحام الله يا علام العرش والكرسي واللوح والأقلام عبدك غريب في بحور النوم والأحلام نوره من ظلام حسن الختام ويكون الموت على الإسلام ثقيل في أصلاب أجداده والأرحام.
One of al-Samman's fundamental teachings is his view on the pre-existence of Muhammad. So the notion of the pre-existence of Muhammad, by the way, was a hot debated, argumented topic that had been handled by Sufis and scholars, mainly those in the field of the philosophy of Tasawwuf, or the philosophical mysticism of Islam. So in this concern, al-Samman dedicated a rather short treatise to the subject of the metaphysical existence of Muhammad. This treatise is entitled الفتوحات الإلهية للتوجهات الروحية للحضرة المحمدية. Unlike his main work, النفحات الإلهية, this treatise neither refers to any Sufi sources such as Ibn Arabi, فصوص الحكم, or الفتوحات المكية, or الجيليس, الإنسان الكامل, nor mentions any spiritual masters. It seems that al-Samman was inspired by a work of al-Burhanpuri, mainly التحفة المرسلة إلى روح النبي, which is dedicated to the Prophet. al-Samman's فتوحات الإلهية للتوجهات الروحية seems to be devoted to the Prophet too. Although, unlike التحفة المرسلة, which is more oriented to the topic of the divine existence, al-Samman's work seems to focus more on the cult adoration of the Prophet, as can be seen from the second part of its title, التوجهات الروحية, rather than on the metaphysical logos of Muhammad itself. Hence, for al-Samman, the practical role of Muhammad as logos is very important, and indeed may have influenced Sufis, for whom meeting the Prophet in one's physical body and in a conscious state was a fundamental doctrine, especially in the Sanusiya, the Tijaniya, the Idrisiya, and others. Al-Samman's views on the logos of Muhammad can be also seen in his An-Nafahat al-Ilahiyya. However, since his concern in this work is mostly with the Sammaniya Khalwatiyya Tariqa, he does not discuss the theory to any extent. C. Abdul Muttalib, Thesis, The Mystical Thought of Muhammad al-Samman, Young Publicists, 2007, Montreal, McGill University, page 99. The continuation to the coverage and speech on al-Samman's teachings, and now let us see his comment and views on the names Muhammad and Ahmad. Al-Samman, in fact, makes only two designations that relate to the concept of light, namely Nuruhu, an Ahmadiyyan light, النور الأحمدي. It is clear in the first designation that he is not explicitly mentioning Muhammad, but simply using the possessive pronoun of the third person, the who, in Nuruhu, to allude or as reference to him, whereas in the second designation, he mentions another Quranic name of Muhammad, namely Ahmad, An-Nur al-Ahmadi. Thus, it is clear that he never connects the term light with the name Muhammad, although he does use the word Haqiqa in connection with Muhammadiyya. This is not a coincidence. This is not a coincidence, in my opinion, but rather fits in with the Samman's belief in the everlasting name of the Prophet, namely Ahmad. The name Muhammad, interestingly, is considered by some Sufis as the prehistoric name of the Prophet, whereas Ahmad is the name he bears now and will bear for all eternity. Muhammad Nafith al-Binjari tells us that al-Samman believes that the name Ahmad is an element of the Prophet understood insofar as he inheres in everything in this world and universe, just as water is absorbed into the plants and trees. The letter Alif means to penetrate or to be absorbed, so that secrets of God's essence runs through every atom. The letter Alif in the word Ahmad means to penetrate, to be absorbed, so that the secrets of God's essence runs through every atom, while the letter Ha means to live, Hayy, which means that the lives of everything in the world derive from him, Muhammad. Such an explanation seems very similar to that of Ahmad Sirhindi, 1624. He maintains that after the Prophet's death, his human individuation disappeared. Its symbols, the first meme, disappeared along with it and was replaced by an alif standing for divinity. Muhammad came in this way to be Ahmad. He was transformed into a purely spiritual being. In his salat upon the Prophet sallallahu alaihi wasallam, which is known as النقطة دائرة الوجود, the circle center of the existence, the teacher Samman says, اللهم صل على سيدنا محمد نقطة دائرة الوجود وحيطة أفلاك مراغ الشهود. O Allah, pray for Sayyidina Muhammad, the center of the existence circle, the orbit's wall of uplifting steps, ladder to the divine witnesses. ألف الذات الساري سرها في كل ذرة، ها حياة العالم الذي منه مبدأه وإليه مغرة، ميم ملكك الذي لا يضاهى ودال ديموميتك التي لا تتناهى. So in this phrase, we find the connotation or the coin and the formation of Ahmad as in ألف الذات الساري سرها في كل ذرة. Alif stands for the first letter in Ahmad. Then we have ها حياة العالم الذي منه مبدأه وإليه مقرة. So ها in the second phrase is Ahmad, is the ها in Ahmad. ميم ملكك الذي لا يضاهى, while mim here is the third letter in Ahmad. And finally دال ديموميتك التي لا تتناهى, while the dal is the last letter in the word Ahmad itself. So if we look carefully to this phrase, we find out that al-Samman has composed his prayer, the circle center of the existence, to denote to the everlasting existence of the word of the name Ahmad here in the universe. Furthermore, the name Ahmad is actually found in the Quran. Also, it is also possible that Ahmad Sirhindi was inspired by Ayn al-Quda al-Hamadani. Ayn al-Quda relates the saying of the Prophet that affirms, my name on the earth is Muhammad, while my heavenly name is Ahmad. The death of the Prophet, according to Ayn al-Quda al-Hamadani, must be seen as ending his historical appearance as Muhammad. To support this idea, Ayn al-Quda cites the verse of the Quran that states that Muhammad is only a messenger or God, of God. Is only a messenger of God. Messenger of God like the previous messengers of God, and he will die like the others. The heavenly name of the Prophet Ahmad is also discussed by the great theologian Fakhruddin al-Razi. Al-Razi cites precisely the name Hadath as the one mentioned by Ayn al-Quda above, which he states, I am Ahmad in heaven, but Muhammad on the earth. But Al-Razi explains here this theory or this in another way. The Prophet is called Ahmad because he is the only man who praised God to an appropriate extent. Al-Razi mentions other names of the Prophet, namely Al-Hamd, praising, Al-Hamid, he who is praising, and Al-Mahmud, he who is praised. Al-Samman seems to have adopted this idea, but probably took it from Abdul Qani Nabulsi, who may in turn have been inspired by Ahmad Sirhindi. The reality of Muhammad al-Samman employs several other terms to identify the metaphysical existence of the Prophet. For example, the reality of realities, حقيقة الحقائق, the universal spirit, الروح الكلي, the Muhammadan reality, الحقيقة المحمدية. For further information, see Amani Muhammad al-Ubaid Abdul Muttalib posts have written in this area. I mean here, the teachings of al-Samman, mainly the thesis of Abdul Muttalib. So the most information that I have read here in this part of al-Samman teaching have been taken from Abdul Muttalib's thesis, the mystical teachings of Muhammad al-Samman, in addition to Dr. Amani Muhammad al-Ubaid on the Sammaniya. The perfect man is the last topic that represent al-Samman major teachings. So I'd like to discuss it here, but before we go further in our discussion and coverage to this rich area of discussion, I would like to say that Sufis have given more consent to this particular area. And in this regard, I would like to say that many authoring books, titles have been presented and introduced by Sufis. I mean here, they have given the area of the perfect man so much concern, and a lot of authoring books have been written in this area. And among the most notable and illustrious writers among Sufis is the Grand Sheikh Muhyiddin ibn Arabi, followed by Sheikh Abdul Karim al-Jili and some others. So al-Samman is not exception in this concern. He has devoted the book and he has tackled the area of the perfect man with discussion as part of his teachings. However, the concept of the perfect man is dominant in the Sammaniya Tariqa, since it is the essence of acquiring individualism. Samman's teaching in this regard tell, if you pray on the Prophet sallallahu alaihi wasallam, note that he is praying and not you, because all things were created from his light. You should pray on him until you are taken by him. At that level, you became perfect man. You became perfect man that inherited the Muhammadan reality. Like many of the 18th and early of 19th century orders, the Sammaniya doctrine is centered around the concept of the Muhammadan reality. The Prophet is the mediator between Allah and human beings. The Prophet's love is the base of faith, the door of knowledge, and the secret of power. Out of the Prophet's light, the creatures have been created, and out of his generosity, faith, people and trees live. By the Prophet's love, the slave obtains his needs and diminishes in his great light, reaching his ultimate goal. Thus, it could be said that the ultimate goal of the Sufi is reaching the Prophet. The Prophet is convinced as a light, Nur, that descends from Hadra Wahidiyya to the Hadra Ahadiyya. His light, the origin of all lights. His light, here, Muhammad light, is the origin of all lights acquired by the prophets or awliya. So for more information also in this area, I suggest referring to Amani Muhammad al-Ubaid, the Sammaniya Tariqa in the Sudan and Publicities, University of Khartoum, Faculty of Economic, 1997, page 92. There are two basic concepts dominating al-Samman's doctrine in this concern. Here on our speech on the perfect man. The first one is the reality of the Prophet, which he is reached by following his Sharia. The second one is the secret of the reality of the Prophet, which he is reached by crossing the sea of love. Anyone who follows the prophetic tradition historically and historically will cross the sea of love to find himself within the Prophet's majesty. Here one can find the influence of Ibn Arabi doctrine of the perfect man. So as part of al-Samman teachings, as we have said, the influence of Ibn Arabi on al-Samman's mainly the perfect man is so very clear. So al-Samman in this concern, as we have previously mentioned, he said, my approach is of Ibn Arabi and my tariqa is Qadri. So the influence of Ibn Arabi in this part of al-Samman teaching is so very clear. And by the way, this is also a form of the Greek idea of logos. Ibn Arabi's logos represent the agent through which Allah can emerge from his absoluteness, his unknowableness into manifestations. The Prophet thus becomes the agent of Allah manifestation in the world. Muhammad, being the seal of the prophets, is seen as the most complete of these manifestations. So the Prophet Muhammad in this concern and in this regard is the most complete manifestation to the existence of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. This complete expression of Allah through man is the heart of the idea of the perfect man, a microcosmic being, a microcosmic being who unites the creator and created attributes of the essence, is at once the image of Allah, an archetype of the universe, having approaching the Prophet's ideal at the ultimate goal of the disciple is a realization of the personality of the Prophet. According to Samman, being attached to the Prophet's majesty is divided into two types: visual attachment and spiritual attachment. The visual attachment itself is divided into two parts. Number one, following the teachings of the Prophet that are found in the Quran and the Sunnah. This is by fulfilling it through the four madhahib: Shafi'i, Maliki, Hanafi, and Hanbali. Al-Samman did not confine himself to only one madhab. He put more emphasis on ijtihad. For him, following of the ideal of the Prophet could not be obtained unless through guide, Sheikh, or through attraction by God. So Al-Samman here brought forth the idea of the attainment, reaching God. And in this concern, he said that so as to achieve the attainment, you have to have guide. This is in the first place. If the guide is not available to you, then you are with the second condition, that is the attraction by God. So according to Samman, this is might be the two ways in which the attainment will be fulfilled, either through guide or through attraction by God. Following the Prophet through love and contemplation or artistic temperament, while the spiritual attachment is divided into two parts. Number one, recall, istihdar of the Prophet vision and feeling piety, politeness, greatness, and majesty of the one of the Prophet's personality. Number two, istihdar of his complete and fine reality. According to Samman, the Prophet was created from the light of a Zat Ilahiyya, and sums its deeds, effects, influence on sequences. Moreover, Samman states that if the Prophet's status is that between the absolute reality and the realities of the created beings. For this reason, his status is above all creatures and under Allah alone. This is such were Samman's views on the idea and the concept, the notion of the perfect man.
الأصل نور من نور النخبة روح وحام متنقل في أصلاب أجداده والأرحام